On set right now with us, we have not just any player, ladies and gentlemen, but this morning, the newly minted preseason defensive player of the year in the conference, Easton Gibbs, linebacker at the University of Wyoming. Congratulations, first off. What was that like to hear the news this morning?
I wasn't quite awake yet, and then I got a couple of texts, and I woke up. So it was a good thing to wake up to. Definitely blessed, and it was cool to kind of get that honor, especially this early in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, coming out here to Vegas, too, from Laramie, I imagine a little bit different, but is it nice to get to interact with some of the players from around the league and do some activities? I know you guys usually do some fun stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good time getting to know some guys, too. We're all kind of, as different teams as we are, we're all kind of similar. We all play college football, so you really have a lot in common. So it's cool to just meet new dudes and kind of just hang out and just kind of see what it's like at their university. So,
Easton, you played quarterback, safety, linebacker in high school, and as the game in the Mountain West has transitioned to basically all passing, and I also believe that you really are going to be judged at the next level based on your ability to play against personnel groups, not first and second or third down. So if you could stay on the field versus 11, or if you could stay on the field versus 10, you're going to be a highly valued draft capital for the NFL teams. Do you think your experience as a quarterback and a safety in high school has helped you prepare as you stay on the field all the time for Wyoming?
No doubt. I mean, going through high school and being on the other side of the ball, especially as a quarterback, and having to go through reads and break stuff down from that side definitely gives me a different perspective and things to look at. So I think that definitely helped. And then even playing safety, you're the back end of the defense and you're looking up on everything. And just both perspectives and both ways that it goes, I think definitely have helped me a lot in my college career.
I mean, and even this past year, you make the transition from will to middle linebacker. You have guys like Chad Muma and Logan, who you learned from before. How does handling, I guess, some of the pressure of making those transitions and living up to some of the people in front of you help form just extra motivation for you coming into the 2023 season?
Yeah, I mean, coming down to it, I've always had those guys as pretty good friends too. So it was definitely pressure, but it was also kind of an honor, moving to that middle linebacker spot at our university. And those guys have helped me a lot throughout the way. If I ever had questions or kind of just how to deal with the pressure, because Chad had to deal with it from Logan. And so it's definitely nice having those guys just kind of as more friends than anything.
Michael, it's kind of becoming like linebacker you out there at Wyoming with the way some of these guys have piped out to the National Football League.
And it's partly because of the Mountain West being such a pass league. I mean, Marty Mapu, the kid that was drafted by Cal State Sacramento by New England, here's a small school, but yet he went in the third round because he had the ability to play safety, he had the ability to play linebacker. And the way the game is going, I've often said this, is when you're a Mike linebacker slow, your defense is slow. And so when you got a Mike linebacker that can run and he can play against every personnel group, all of a sudden your defense is much faster. And this notion that we're going to be a nickel, we're going to be a dime, I mean, that's all removing because the offenses are in so much spread formation. So as you get ready for the Mountain West, who do you feel like is the best offense you have to play against in the Mountain West?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I mean, they're all so different. Boise State brings a different dynamic. They got three dudes in that backfield that kind of can do a lot of stuff. But they're kind of more of that pro style too. So, and then you got people like Utah State who really like to spread it out. But I always like to say Air Force is probably the most challenging offense you have to prepare for just because they do that triple option stuff and it's just so much different. We put a lot of time into that and kind of have to really lock in for that week.
At least when you have to play them on the road, you're used to the altitude playing at 7220 and all of that. But looking at your guys' schedule this year, it's not easy, right? Open the season, non-con, nationally televised game, Texas Tech, Texas on the schedule. When you look at that schedule, how much do you just have to go 1 week at a time, figuring out what you guys are doing step by step?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we do every week regardless. It's definitely a tough schedule this year. But I think it just comes down to, like you said, just take it 1 week at a time and, really focus on your opponent every week. So
something I was curious your opinion on. You guys go from, I believe it was the fourth youngest team in the country a season ago. This year, with 17 returning starters back, you're the most experienced team now when it comes to your starting production coming back in year two in the Mountain West Conference. How is just that step? I feel like when I talk to coaches in college football, they always talk about that freshman to sophomore jump and what a dynamic jump that is. for the whole team, really going from so much youth to now having that experience, what kind of a difference can that make?
I mean, it's crazy. I think we kind of saw it a little bit last year, even just game by game, those young guys, you could just tell they get more comfortable. And now having a whole nother offseason, knowing really what they're doing and kind of having that experience, like you said, I think it brings a big, big boost to the team. And just confidence-wise, I think is the biggest thing, just being out there and knowing that they can play at this level.
How have you adapted, coming from California, how have you adapted to the altitude at Wyoming? And do you feel like when you go and play at sea level, you feel like it's just a completely different game?
Yeah, I mean, when I first got here, it was definitely tough. I was coming down from Southern California and, first couple workouts and stuff, I was gassed. And, it takes a little bit to get used to it. People think maybe a couple days up there, but I think it took me probably a couple weeks. But, yeah, when I go back down to sea level, it just kind of seems like I just have a breath of fresh air every time down there. So it is nice playing up that high all the time.
I lived in Colorado Springs for a little while when I previously worked at the Mountain West in a former life. And I remember when I first moved there, just being at higher elevation, I'd try to run on the treadmill. I thought I was going to die. I went back to San Diego to visit my family, or I'd come back here to Vegas, and I felt like strongest woman in the world. It really does make a difference. Is that nice to have that added advantage at times when you're playing the home schedule?
Yeah, it's definitely in our back pocket. If the offense goes a little faster, if we can keep them on the field a little longer, they're probably going to get a little bit more tired than normal. So it's definitely an advantage.
I had a couple more questions with you with regards to the Mountain West Conference taking away divisions this year. First time since 2012 that they haven't had the Mountain and West division. You're used to playing in that Mountain division, and Boise has kind of been at the top of that in recent history. The preseason media poll selection to win the conference this year. Do you think that it opens up a little bit more opportunity to have the two best teams when it comes to win percentage getting to play in that final title game?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the way it should be. The two best teams should have a shot at the championship. So I think it's definitely beneficial that we move back to kind of this format, and I think it'll be fun. I mean, it's definitely going to be weird not playing some of the teams you're used to playing every single year, but I think it'll be a good time.
Well, tell us a little bit about your team. For people that are maybe a little bit less familiar with Wyoming football, what should people expect this season from your group?
Man, just a lot of effort and a lot of, energy. We like to fly around out there and, take a lot of pride in that and just kind of having like a hard-nosed team. So it should be a good year.
I think that's a good way to put it, hard-nosed. I saw a quote from Craig Bull recently where he said, I like the attitude of this team. They're a hardworking group. They play together. They're the type of team I got into coaching for. And talking about how special a type of player it takes to play at Wyoming and to buy into the Wyoming way. How would you best describe what the Wyoming way is and why you think this team is structured the way that it is?
I think just the Wyoming way is really just comes down to working hard, and every day you come into the facility, it's kind of like bettering yourself. We always talk about getting 1% better and kind of trying to get to that next level, even though it might be, hard, or you might not want to do it. And I think our whole team has really bought into that process of really trying to better themselves every single day they step into our facilities.
We talked off the top about your relationship with Logan Wilson and Chad Muma and kind of learning behind them. Who's the next up-and-comer behind you that you're trying to share that similar mentorship with?
Shoot, I mean, we got a pretty young room behind me, but Connor Shea, he's been a guy that's been around for a little bit now, but he's been behind me for a little bit. And, he's a good friend of mine too, but, kind of just trying to show him the ropes and do the same thing, so.
Yeah, if there was one flaw, I guess, from the Wyoming defense last year, I think the thing you guys get knocked for is the run D. Mm-hmm. How are you guys looking to turn that around in 2023?
I think we'll be good. We had a little bit of injuries last year up front, and, I think we were turning one of the best defensive lines we've had in a long time at our school. And, it comes down to just go back to that hard-nosed, type of football we want to play. So I think if we just come out and play with effort, it should be a pretty good year.
Yeah, no question. Certainly excited to see what the Wyoming Cowboys are able to put on the field here this season. And congratulations again to you for being named the preseason Defensive Player of the Year. You went over 120 tackles last year. Any personal goals for you?
Just play football. I just want to win some games. So that's about it for me.
All right. Simple. Play hard. Keep at it. Good luck throughout the rest of this season. Appreciate the time here again. Easton Gibbs, Mountain West Preseason
Thanks,
Defensive Player of the Year. Yes, and plenty of content that's going to be coming out of Mountain West Media Days from the Mountain West Digital Network and other outlets as well. Make sure y'all check that out.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.